When you compare this picture and then me, you can probably just tell the difference between my looks. The difference between a little girl and a 16 years old. You can just see how I physically change. What you cannot see is how I've been struggling with food and my body through my entire life. What you cannot see is how my mentality has changed over the years to finally be able to love myself. My name is Carolina, and I'm going to show you how important nutrition habits are for our mental health. If someone would ask you right now, what types of eating disorders exist, what would you say? Think about it. You could say anorexia, for example, or maybe you'd say bulimia. But there's actually all of these kinds of eating disorders according to the EATS Victoria organization. And I bet that most of you didn't even know half of this, which shows how misinformed society is when it comes to eating disorders. Okay, now I want your opinion in a question. What do you think about, is chocolate good or bad for you? Yes, no, good? I mean, of course, eating an excessive amount of chocolate is going to be bad for your body, right? But just chocolate is not something bad or something good, because it's just food. And none of us should feel ever guilty if we ever have a piece of chocolate. It's not like if we committed a crime or anything. I have lots of other examples of questions like this. Questions which were statements for me for the most part of my life. Statements like, I can't eat something because it's bad for me. Like, I have to exercise if I want to eat. Or like, I should stop eating to be healthy. These are all a lie. And I hope that if any of you believe in them, you realize by the end of my talk that they're not true. Throughout my life, I thought that if I followed these statements, they would get me a healthier and better physical health, although I was very wrong. Around this picture, I was medically diagnosed with overweight, which really made me very concerned about my body and what I ate at a very young age. And I started to think that the way I look was bad and wrong. I was told not to eat some kinds of food by the doctor, and I would wonder why every kid could eat a cookie and I couldn't. I grew up and I eventually lost the weight, but now I had the mentality that I needed to reach that ideal body type to look like those models and influencers, so I started dieting and feeling disgust about myself every time I ate something I wasn't supposed to. And I would feel ashamed of my body even though I had a healthy weight. There was even a summer that I barely ate so I could be thinner, and my stomach would hurt every day, but I felt less bloated, I felt emptier, and I felt skinnier. However, I wouldn't have energy to do anything else. And luckily, I realized that this was not a healthy behavior, and I started eating again and focusing on my mental development, and I actually started to like myself. Later on, I moved to the US and I gained 10 kilograms. My diet changed a lot, and I was also eating my emotions and feeling repulsed about myself. Yet, this time, I decided I wouldn't hate myself like I used to. Firstly, I had a weightlifting class and I felt stronger than ever. And secondly, I learned that I deserve love just like everyone else. And when I came back to Spain, at the beginning, I wanted to go back to the way I looked before. But then I realized that I shouldn't be ashamed of my body because it's the one that allows me to do all my daily activities, and that I should love myself regardless of my weight because I'm a good person, I'm strong, and I like the way I am. And here is when I started my journey of self-love. Like my story, there are thousands of stories of people who are dealing or have dealt with eating disorders. Take a look at these percentages. 26% of people with eating disorders attempt suicide. 50% of teenage girls and 30% of teenage boys use unhealthy weight control behaviors. 89% of girls have dieted by the age of 17. And only 6% of people with eating disorders have been diagnosed with underweight. These percentages show us how present eating disorders are in our society and how important it is to take action. And it's important to take action because furthermore, they can cause several mental and physical illnesses like reduced bone density, menstrual disturbances, or anxiety, depression, and self-injury. This is why today I would like to share 3 tips with you guys. They are very easy to understand, and these tips have helped me overcome my eating disorders and love the way I am. And they might help you too in your day-to-day, regardless if you have an eating disorder or not. 1, change the way you talk to yourself. Be your own best friend. You wouldn't call someone you love ugly or force them to stop eating. Therefore, don't do it to yourself. 2, erase diet culture rules from your head. Listen to your body. You have to know that no food is bad or good. You should eat whenever you're hungry and eat foods that fuel yourself and give you energy. It's all about balance and listening to yourself. And 3, social media is fake. Stop comparing yourself. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. And we should all have the mentality that we are always beautiful because of our differences. And these are what make us unique and special. And when looking for information, use reliable sources. And now, how do we make the percentages I talked to you guys about before into this percentage, 0%? Well, I believe education is key. I think we should teach kids at school how to have a good relationship with food. We should teach them about love and respect to every physique, types of eating disorders, how to communicate when they need help, and the importance of physical and mental health. According to UNICEF's 2019 study, 87% of the global population has primary education. Imagine how many people we could save from falling into eating disorders if what I said was part of the educational system. And moreover, several professional institutions like Mayo Clinic state that familiar and parental support is essential for an ED recovery. This is why I think we should encourage parents and adults to learn about the same things. This way, kids are raised in a healthier environment, and children and parents are able to help their children if they ever develop an eating disorder. And I believe that this little girl would have felt less confused if someone would have taught her that she still deserves love regardless of her weight. And it would have helped her a lot later on in her life if she knew how to deal with eating disorders. And believe me, she would have really liked to know that trying to reach that ideal body type could really damage her mental health, which is just as important as having a healthy body. And this is something that we should all be concerned about, that our physical health is just as important as our mental health. And now that you've been listening to me for probably the past 8 minutes or something like that, do you remember when I was talking about the chocolate? Do you remember when I talked about the statements and that I said that they were a lie? Well, do you know what I do with lies? I throw them away to the trash. And I think that this is something that we should all do with those things that don't provide anything to us. And remember, it is okay to feel that you're not enough, but you still deserve love and respect from yourself and from others. Thank you so much.